G'day guys, Luke here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video guys, we're doing the Reptile update for December 2022. I'd like to start off saying happy holidays, Merry Christmas. However you celebrate the season, hope everyone has a safe holiday and enjoying the new year. 2023, here we come. So anyway, we're starting up here with Bo today. He's one of 4 blue tongues we have in the family. He's doing well, smashing food. He's coming out more often recently, which is great to see. And overall, nothing much happening with him. He's just a good little blue tongue. I won't go through his setup because his brother Bluey is in an identical setup. The same with Monty, they're all pretty much in similar setups. So we'll just do that as once. Below Bo, so not Bo, Bluey. It's not Bluey, but Bo. Damn it, bloody 2 names that get too similar. We have young Blaine, who is a lowland blotch blue tongue. Okay, bye Blaine. She's doing well. She's getting more and more confident, but she doesn't like loud noises, so me being loud today, she's retreating back in her hide. She's housed in a 3-foot enclosure. In the enclosure itself, we've got 2 hides for her to hide in, food bowl, water bowl, a couple of fake plants. We've got a backing, a couple of bricks, and a brick and a couple of rocks for her on top of her hides. And the substrate that I use for my reptile enclosures are either the coconut fibre or coconut peat, whatever you want to call it, or sand. It's the main 2 I use for my setups. And in 2023, I will go through setups in more detail so you guys get understanding how I've got my setups working. As well for lighting, we've got UVBs and a heat globe in the back there. Right, we go down to Bluey and do his enclosure, or run down his enclosure. So Bo, Bluey and Monty are housed in 4-foot enclosures. In each enclosure, they've got a hide, got a couple of rocks and a brick in there to help them get on top of their hide, a fake plant, heat and UV. We've got a backing respectively for each enclosure. The substrate is also the same as Blaine's, which is that coconut stuff. A food dish and a water dish in the corner. Let's pop in and say hello to young Bluey. Hey Bluey, how you doing? Doing good? That's good. Like Bo, Bluey's coming out more often, smashing food, and enjoying the warm weather that we've been having so far in Australia. It's going to be a warm summer, which is going to be, very looking forward to. However, hopefully no more floods and no more fires. I'm kind of sick and tired of having to worry about those natural disasters 24/7. Down below, we've got Monty. Monty is doing well. He's now settled down. He's gone through his, how can I say it, keeping it family friendly. He's gone through his male aspect in life, well, that season. He's doing well, smashing food, enjoying life. He's probably not enjoying me waking him up, but he's doing well regardless. Give you a pan of his enclosure so you get a better idea of his house. But yeah, overall, he's settled down, he's calmed down. Stopped destroying his enclosure for once, so I'm happy. Moving over to these 1-foot enclosures. Now, in here, we've got Charcoal, who's my little spiny-tailed gecko. He was out a little earlier, so I don't know if he'll still be cruising around. Don't think he's probably back up in his hide. I won't disturb him, so what I might do is, any animal that's a no-show, I'll put up a photo. That way you guys can see what they look like. Charcoal's doing well. I got him out the other day when I had a friend over. He's getting used to being handled. He's still a cute little guy. When he's upset with me, he does this little chirp noise, but luckily, lately he hasn't been doing that with me, so he's been happy. So in his enclosure, that's what I might do, getting that light again, is we've got sand as the substrate, a couple of branches for him to climb up on. I've blacked out the sides with some, contact to make it more darker for him. Water dish in the corner there, he's got his cave, and he's got his little fake plant there. Doesn't need much, he's only a small little guy. Now we go to the first snakes of the video. In these 2 1-foot enclosures, we've got Valentino and Chewbacca. So both enclosures share heat pad with the neighbour. So with Valentino, it's Chewbacca. Sorry, not Chewbacca. Charcoal. While Chewbacca here shares another heat pad with another small snake that belongs to a friend of mine. Still not eating on its own yet, which has been painful, but we kind of forget about that snake for the time being. So they're both doing well, Valentino and Chewbacca. So both of them are in a 1-foot enclosure. In the enclosure, I've got the substrate, 2 hides, a couple of pieces of wood in there for them to either climb up on or utilise, water dish. So this is Valentino. He's doing well. He was the firstborn, so we had to keep him because he was my first ever snake hatched. And I'm very glad to have both snakes kept back from last season. While Chewbacca is doing well. One thing I've noticed is both snakes are slowly turning out to look like more like their dad. But however, both have got the personality of their mum, who's very sweet. But these two have got the food response of their dad, which is hard and fast. So I've got the best of both worlds regarding to the parents. Looks doesn't matter. It's just one thing I wanted was 2 beautifully calm babies, but very eager feeding babies, which I'm grateful for. Now below them we've got young Billy. She's the other blue tongue we have in the family. She's doing well. She's kind of been funny in the regards lately. She hasn't really been the destructive little blue tongue that she has been in the past. Usually she'll try and go up the backing or trying to climb up on this vent to get out. But lately she's calmed down and been sleeping a bit more often, which is good. She's been a very good success story. When I first got her, she was in no condition to I don't know, survive. But luckily with Mum and I, she's turned around and become this chunky little blue tongue that she is today. It'll be 2 years in February she's been with us, so very, very happy. She's honestly thriving. She's been a fighter, which is always I enjoy to see. So in her enclosure is 1 metre, so about just over 3 feet. She's got a hide. Underneath her, she's got a heat pad. Well, underneath the enclosure to the heat pad. UV light, a couple fake plants, a backing, which I think I'm going to switch over to a picture in the not too far away, I should say. A couple of rocks in here, substrate, food bowl, and water bowl. So that's that side of the room done. We'll go to the other side. So in the 3-foot enclosure, we've got Crystal, who's my little pygmy bearded dragon. She's enjoying the new space she's been given. She's been running around, trying to cause trouble to Rosie, who we'll get to a little later. So in her enclosure, we've got a heat light, her LED UVB light. We've got her backing, got a bit of wood there, a rock, an ornament, a hide that she will use every now and again. Got a water bowl, food bowl, and the substrate she's on is obviously sand. A very fine sand, so it won't cause impactions. As well, since she's been fed in the food bowl, less chances of her eating from the sand. As well, a tongue feeder when it comes to insects. Oh, and that she's doing quite well. Below her, we've got another little snake here named Snickers. She's doing fantastic. She's been with us for just over a month now. She's housed in a 2-foot enclosure. A lot of personality. She likes to climb up and get into the little things up there. She'll go on the edge of the railing here, and sometimes she'll crash, land onto the ground. As well with this stick, usually meant to be the other way, but last night she's twisted it the other way. So we'll go in there later and fix that. Other than that, she's awesome. She's a very curious, very food motivated snake, which is a good thing. So hopefully next season, if we do decide to breed her, she will have the body weight to have babies, which will be exciting. Speaking of which, we'll get to that in a later video. So she's got 2 hides, substrate, water dish, a heat pad. She shares a light strip with Pedro, so she's doing fantastic. Now Pedro in here is my pink tongue skink. He's also housed in a 2-foot enclosure. In the enclosure, we've got a backing. I've got a hide incorporated into the backing. A couple of fake plants, a couple of sticks, a couple of vines, a couple of hides on the ground here, substrate, food dish and water dish, and he's in here. Don't see him often. Most times when I put a food bowl in here, the food's eaten by the next morning. Sometimes it's not. Every now and again, I do hear him scratching at the backing, climbing up on it. But otherwise, he's a very secretive animal. But he's doing well. He's still a chunky little lizard. But overall, I don't see him often. Plus, when I do see him often, he's not happy to see me. He's either trying to huff and puff his way out of my hands, or he's trying to turn around and bite me, which I don't really appreciate. Make sure it's locked up. Beautiful. Now, up here, we've got Rosie, who is my Reptile model. I'll put up a photo of him because at the moment, he's digging in that hide of his. So, Rosie, he is housed in a 3-foot enclosure. In the enclosure itself, we've got his heat light, UVB light strip, got his backing, a couple of branches for him to climb up on, 4 hides to choose from, so that's his basking in one there, a couple other ones he can kind of go into throughout the day. And this one he likes to sleep in. I've filled that up with sand in there so he can dig in there, make a burrow, and also I wet it down as well so he gets a bit of moisture from that. And he's got his water dish as well, and every couple of days or so he gets a good amount of crickets to feed on. And obviously the substrate head is sand. Now going from this little guy to this little girl over here, we've got Suey the sand simmer. I'll do the same thing, I'll put up a photo of her as she's not really particularly used to being touched. Plus, trying to go through all this sand would be a bit of a nightmare. So Suey here's housed in the 50 centimetre, so just shy of 2 feet in length enclosure. She's got a backing, a water dish, a bit of bark she can hide into. She's got a fake plant, a coconut hide, and the heat pad is on this side underneath. And she's got a good, I don't know, 10 centimetres worth of sand to dig through. I don't want to go any higher or put more in there because I don't want the bottom imploding. As well, if I have to do maintenance on this enclosure, I don't want her to go jumping out, which she's almost done a couple of times. Other than that, she's doing well, gaining weight, and being a cute little thing. Now, next up, we've got the diva of the reptile room. Akko here is doing quite well. Originally, I was thinking of upgrading her, but she's been happy in here, and she's not going to get any bigger, so... Plus, I don't want to stress her out. She doesn't like change, especially if I move enclosures around this room. She does not like it. So we'll just leave her be. She's housed in a 4-foot enclosure. In the enclosure itself, we've got the coconut fibre as a substrate. A couple of pieces of wood that she can bask on. We've got her hide, hammock, heating UV, her backing. A couple of branches for her to climb up on. A water bowl. A couple of rocks in there to kind of help her get in and out of a water bowl. Fake plant. We've got her diva scientist. She's kind of turned a little bit. And a food bowl. She's going through a bit of shed lately, so she's kind of, yeah, half shed a bit, but she's a stunning war dragon, aren't you? Yes, you are. Anyway, we'll move on to these guys down here. So, housed in this 2-foot enclosure, we've got Aaron and Caesar. They will be upgraded soon, whilst a few other animals have been shuffled to something bigger. Caesar here is a naughty boy. He hates me like no other. He strikes, he will try and bite me, and is really defensive of his territory. His girlfriend laid a clutch of eggs on the 30th of October, so cool, we've got little Aaron Caesars on the way. And speaking of Aaron, she escaped. Now, she got out, I don't know how long ago. I found her this morning, luckily. So she's curled up in that hide there. Kind of hard to see. There she is. But she's fine. Now, when I did find her, she was cold. She was actually underneath my bed. Between a container and a couple of books. So, thankfully we found her. She will be fine and dandy. And lesson learnt. She actually got it through the top. There was a slight problem with the lid. I didn't put it on properly the other day. So, she must have got through that. Other than that, lesson learnt, always check the enclosures. So in the enclosure, with the substrate, water bowl, 2 hides, a couple of fake plants, a backing, and they shared their heat mat and their light strip with Diablo, who's my brown tree snake. He's currently up in that hide there. He's in shed, so I don't want to disturb him. So here's a photo of the little bugger. He's doing quite well. He started eating up again recently. As the weather's warming up, he's kind of out of brumation, which is a good thing, so he can gain weight over the Christmas holidays like everyone else. Anyway, so pretty much a similar setup. We've got his substrate, 2 hides, a couple of branches for him to climb up on. We've got his backing, fake plant, water dish. Like I mentioned, he shares a heat pad and his light strip with Aaron Caesar. So this is this room done. So this is the lizard room, I'm going to call it. And let's head over to the snake room and see how everyone else in there is doing. Here we are in the snake room. So eventually most of my snakes will end up in here after the reshuffling. But what we do first, we'll go over here. Say hello to Superstar going first. Both snakes are doing well. Superstar just turned 13 the other day, while Graham is turning 13 later this month, which is awesome. So let's see if they'll come out so high. So that one there is Graham, and the other one who's kind of retreating back into the darkness is Superstar. Both girls are doing very well. Graham has started eating again more recently, which is I'm happy about. She's out of rumination, so now I can kind of put the weight back on her before next season. Now, I'm not breeding these guys. They're too precious for me. I don't have any favourites, but these are my, let's say, my first children, so I don't want nothing bad to happen to them. So they're housed in a 3-foot enclosure. In the enclosure itself, we've got the heat light, a normal display light. We've got the backing. We've got 3 hides in there for to choose from, substrate, a fake plant, a couple of pieces of wood in there, a branch, and a nice big water dish. Next door to Superstar and Graham in another 3-foot enclosure, we've got Emma and Zula. Now, before the video was started, I found eggs in here from young Azula. So, second year running, and I've got eggs from these two again. So, Emma is that darker one there, while Azula is that pretty one who's got a face over there. She's still in egg mode, so I have cleaned the area. I've cleaned her up, but she's still in that kind of protection mode. So, hopefully in the next couple of days, she can get out of that kind of mood, and hopefully next week I can offer her food and everything will be back to normal with these two. So fingers crossed, these guys, their eggs also hatch along with Aaron Caesar, and Chappie and Orchid had eggs too. So if you haven't followed me on Instagram, I suggest you do so. So sometimes I post photos of hoping trips, even motorsport trips as well if you're not into car racing. Anyway, that's something else differently. As well, you'll get to see different updates from my animals throughout the year as well. So anyway, back to this video. So in this enclosure, I've got the substrate, got a backing, display light, 3 hides for them to choose from, got a heat pad, a couple of branches for them to climb up on, a fake plant, a couple of rocks, and a water dish as well. Now below these 2 enclosures, we've got Chappie and Orchid, who decided to be a no-show for this video. So Chappie there's in shed, and like I said before, Orchid laid eggs. So here's a photo of Orchid with the eggs, and one afterwards I have of Chappie. So both of them are housed in a 6-foot enclosure. In the enclosure itself, we've got a heat emitter with a display light, light strip in there. Got their backing. There's 3 different platforms for them to choose from. 2 hides they can choose from. A water dish, and they've got their substrate. Now, Chappie's been eating food again, while Orchid, she just laid the eggs, so hopefully next time I offer them food, she'll eat. So let's hope the eggs hatch soon. Anyway, we'll move along. Up here we've got Chris, who is my black-headed python. Now, before the new year, she will get an upgrade. I just got to put the timber all together and get the glass ordered and put electrical work in it, and then she should be ready to go. Here she is. Hey, Chris. Sorry, it's out of focus. God damn it. Whoop. Sorry, Chris. Filming one-handed is never fun. There she is. Is she beautiful? Now, Chris here is 2.3 meters, so just about 7'4". So she will be needing that upgrade quite soon. I just haven't had time recently due to work, and the weather hasn't been all that fantastic either to build the enclosure outside. But yeah, she's doing well. At the moment, she's in a 4-foot enclosure. She'll go into a 6-foot enclosure like the other 2 down here. So in the enclosure, I've got her hide, we've got rock hide, we've got log hide, we've got her heater meter, substrate, fake plant, water dish, and she shares a light strip with a couple of other snakes who you will see very shortly. But at the moment, let's go down below and say hello to 2 other snakes that are crazies. Right, in this 4-foot enclosure, we have Atrum and Aurelia. So Atrum is this guy, and Aurelia is back there. These 2 are 2 diamond pythons. Same, like the same species, but they're from 2 different colour forms. So Atrum is more darker in coloration, while Aurelia there is more yellow. These guys will be next after Aaron Caesar for an upgrade. So it will be Chris, Charles, Aaron Caesar, then these guys with the upgrades. So in this enclosure, Got a couple of backings for them to sit on, which they're both using at the moment. Got the stick, UVB light strip, as diamond polymers actually require UVB. Got the heat element, 4 hides from to choose from, the substrates, and the water bowl. Right, that's those guys. Let's go over to the last wall, the last group of animals. In this 3-foot enclosure, we have Molly, who is my jungle carpet python. She's sticking her little snout out there. Hey, gorgeous. You come out to hi? Hey, she's doing quite well. She's smashing food. She probably doesn't like the bright light she's getting from the sun today, so she's probably in there to sleep. And I just woke her up. Poor girl. Anyway, so in the enclosure, I've got her backing, got a cave for her she's using at the moment. We've got a couple of fake plants, water dish, and she shares the light strip with Charles and Chris, and she's got a heat light there. Moving on to next to her, we got Charles, who is my albino darn carpet python. So once Chris goes into a 6-foot enclosure, Charles will go into the 4-foot, and Aaron Caesar will get this enclosure. So I just got to do some modifications, that's all. So in this enclosure of Charles, we've got his hammock and his stick that he's currently using. Got his heat light where he's sitting under. Got his backing, 2 hides, a rock in there to help him shed his skin. There's a substrate and his water dish. Charles he's been doing well, but however, when it comes to feeding lately, he'll eat one feed and he might skip another feed or 2. He'll eat again. So basically, besides the feeding wise, he's doing well. Every now and again he gets cranky at me, but I can get him out and still somewhat handle him, but it's in the stage now. I just leave him alone and let him do his thing. Right, down to the last animal of the reptile room. We have Mr. Ray, or Mrs. Ray. I think Ray here is a girl, so we have to say Mrs. Ray. She's housed in a 6-foot enclosure. In the enclosure itself, we've got a hide in that corner. She's sitting on a couple of rocks underneath her heat light. We've got a backing, a couple of fake plants, a couple of these LED UVB light strips in here. Got a couple of branches for her to climb up on. Another 2 hides she can choose from to sleep in. Substrate, I'm going to put more substrate in there. Didn't quite have enough to do everyone pretty much, so I've got a bit more. And she's got a water dish over there. That's just filled up with substrate already. So that'll be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in another video.